I have 12 million and she has 50,000. We've got another Dave Ramsey video here, and someone told me they might be strict on like copyright and stuff when it comes to their videos. So I'm going to do the freeze frame thing, and I think that's going to work out pretty well anyways. Of course, you still be able to hear the audio. Let's check it out.
So I recently got engaged. My fiance and I are both 36 years old. We're looking to start a Brady Bunch. We've got 5 kids between 10 and 12 between us.
Oh, wow. Between 10 and 12? Is that what you said?
Yeah, I have twin sons who are 11, and she has a 10-year-old, 11-year-old, and 12-year-old.
Oh,
Wow,
my
wow,
gosh.
wow.
That's going to be a house full. That's fun.
Yeah, that is a busy house.
So great.
Yeah, it's been really fun. Yep. So the reason I'm calling is because we have a pretty large difference in assets. And I think based on your advice, the advice would be that we should get a prenup. So I have roughly $12 million and she has roughly 50,000. And so we started the process of looking into a prenup, and it's been an emotional one. And I totally understand why. And I think especially like we went through a questionnaire talking together about it. But then when we got the first draft back from my lawyer, that's when she's really not been feeling good about it. And I understand the concern. So, I mean, she feels like I wouldn't be fully entering the marriage in the same way that she is, because it feels like I'm holding assets like separately off to the side. And I'm sensitive to that, and especially in some of the context of her former relationship. And so I'm just looking for maybe more clarity and like what you guys would recommend.
Oh, man, this is a hard one.
No, it's not. No, it's not.
Because I think it is a wise decision to do one. And I say that even more. I have a friend who's going through not a great situation, and she came in with a lot more. And now he's just, it's just messy. It's messy. And there's a level, again, you're hoping and praying, obviously, that this is the one and that it's going to last a lifetime.
Mm-hmm.
But as you guys have experienced, there is a reality to all of this. And whenever any of us get married, right, I think there is like this, like, okay, I'm choosing you for a reason and for a lifetime. But we also don't live under a rock and know that things change in life and situations come up. And unfortunately, some really hard things happen and does causes marriages to break up, right? To enter into divorce. And we don't want that. So what were I'm curious, what were the parts of it that was making her, because you guys went through a questionnaire together and it didn't sound like the questionnaire brought up a lot of red flags, but when she was actually like reading it, does she feel like she won't be taken care of if something happens, or like what's that underlying?
I just want to say that it's always so fascinating to watch women discuss relationships and marriages and modern dating, using words like the one. There is no the one. It's the one that chooses to stick with you and not initiate divorce. Majority of the time, it's women at a 70 to 80%. On top of that, what it sounds like is they're both coming from different marriages. And so he definitely needs to protect himself for sure. This is not rocket science. This is straightforward. There's nothing complicated about this.
Concern, yeah. Yes. And I think especially like, her kids as well too. And it's something that I want to address, and I think we could address like in a will or like some other document or method after we get married. And it's something that I want to do. Like I absolutely would want her and her kids to be taken care of too if something, didn't happen to us. I think it also, it feels very condescending to her that like that either she, and I don't see it being a problem for her at all. Like my goal in this, and I think that's what your advice is that in our case, that I know is rare, it would help protect our marriage. And that's what I want to do. But I totally understand that she feels it's condescending, like to her, maybe her and her family and her friends, that they might be a problem.
Family and friends. You guys see the issue here? What do family and friends have to do with the decision that you're making with you and your wife? Let's keep them out of this. The Coffee Pot is backed by FathersHaveRights.com, the ultimate prenup prep guide for men who value marriage in our modern day. Future husbands, The divorce industry makes billions when men walk into a lawyer's office unprepared. Don't let the system profit from your ignorance. My step-by-step guide at fathershaverights.com, created with expert attorneys James Sexton and the lead attorney, hands you the questions, checklists, and strategy to walk in 10 steps ahead, and it costs only a couple of coffee dates. Click the link pinned to the top of the comment section, secure your future, and join the hundreds of men preparing their marriages the right way. It's another huge issue. Friends and family typically jeopardize marriage and relationships. Sometimes you have people who give very good counsel, and those are people who you go looking for them because you're like, hey, these guys look like they've got their head on straight. But in most cases, he's here talking about friends and family. You need to stay out of it.
And if we would need this to like protect against them.
Can I ask how like stringent this prenup is, like how strict it is? Because when I've heard calls about this before, my question is always, is there a way that this can be more progressive, that maybe over time and over years, some of the restrictions fall off? Like, does that make sense to where it's like the longer we're together and the more that this feels right, some of this starts to fall off and now we start to become one. And after a while, it's all gone and we are one. Is there anything built in like that?
So there's nothing currently built in like that. So other than that, it's pretty basic. So everything we enter into the marriage with is separate property, except she has a small amount of debt, and she's been awesome about eliminating debt, especially the situation she came from. But I don't want her to carry it all. Like we would just pay it off. And then everything after the date of the marriage is shared. So income that I make or she made, we just share it. Our plan is that she would stop working. She'd be able to be home with all these kids.
Does that include interest on the 12 million, like as that grows, or does any growth on that 12 million remain yours?
Yeah, so at least as it's currently structured, the growth in that would remain mine. I think we have talked about, it's not in the document, but like if I were to stop working to also help with the kids, which would be an option, like that the income that we drew from that would be considered our income.
I think I would. I'd be wondering about that if I were entering in that marriage. Like, how can we protect what you've already created, but how can I be a player and how that grows from here on out? Like, how can I be a part of that? I think I might be wondering about that.
I want to ask you a question. Just a simple question. It's very simple. Why? Why does it have to be set up that way? No, really, that's an honest question of why. And is he wrong if he doesn't want to set it up that way, especially if he's been in a marriage before? Now, I'm not saying that they shouldn't have some type of joint bank account or asset that belongs to the community, the two of them. My question is, why does there have to be some progressive element to the prenuptial agreement?
Yeah, and then the only other additional part is we're planning to get a house, and I was just going to buy the house. We title it in both of our names. That's just consider it community property.
There you go. There you go. First off, have you ever seen a panelist of women or men fight this hard to make sure a man is secured for his marriage? Like if the roles were reversed, right? And the man was a stay-at-home dad, right? Right. We're in a progressive culture now. Or he just earned less, but he worked. Do you think that they would be sitting here going, hey, man, you only earn $50,000. Let's try to work this out. How can you get more from her by the end of this? No. Why? Because when it comes to these type of conversations, society and a lot of people tilt towards believing that a woman should either most likely take half of that man's assets or a large portion. I mean, it's got to hurt. And they're here trying to figure out how can we help her out? When the reality is a property in both of their names is a pretty good investment, especially for someone who sounds like they might be entering a second marriage. You lucked out finding a husband who has this high of a net worth. I'm sure he's going to help her pay off debt, and she doesn't have to worry about working, of course. The average American's best bet when it comes to building wealth is a home. And this is almost a guarantee.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like you're being very gracious about this, Derek. I think it's such a hard line to be wise in a situation and being, I mean, you don't sound like you're drawing these crazy hard lines and you know what I mean? And you're pushing it like it's, your tone feels very humble and gracious, which I think she probably very much appreciates. So yeah, I'm trying to think if I were in her position, which you never can fully do for somebody, you know, there's a part of me that, I don't know, I think I would understand you're coming in with 12 million. Yeah. And I understand that's not mine right now, right? Like there's, I don't know.
She says right now, right? But it will be. Mercy.
This one's hard for me. I see.
Are you an anti-prenup?
No, I'm not. I would not go that far. I think it's just, it is a very tough way to start out a marriage, clearly.
Yes.
Because we're dividing yours versus mine.
Yeah.
No, it's not. And Gen Z, who've seen what marriage has turned into, are not approaching this like this is some type of science project. They're like, there's no way I'm paying off your college debt. There's just no way.
Yep. And everything else in the marriage is we say we, us, our. So it is tough. And if you're a person, I'll put myself in the shoes. Me, I've always viewed, when you enter a marriage, it's like this.
Yes.
You don't know who you're going to fall in love with. And that person happens to be loaded. And now suddenly you're like, oh, this picture I had of it being ours is not possible. That's just tough. I'm not saying it's wrong. It's just tough.
Yeah. Well, and I think too, Derek,
notice the words being used here, guys. You don't want to make a decision based on who you fall in love with. Love doesn't get you through marriages. You want to pick a future wife based on shared values, right? The first being foundational values of how the both of you define marriage. What does this mean? Okay, do you believe in a man being the head of the household, right? And of course, if they don't, then that obviously is going to right off the bat create conflict inside that household because people have different expectations. How do you define marriage? Marriage to me is an equal partnership. You probably want to stay away from that, especially if you're somebody who values more traditional dynamics within a relationship. But like the whole, you don't pick who you fall in love with. Yeah, you can maybe not pick who you fall in love with, but you could definitely choose not to enter a marriage with someone who has vastly different expectations and values from you of what that marriage is going to look like. And sometimes that's the financial side, like a prenuptial agreement. And too many men out here don't take that like shared values thing very seriously, especially if you're somebody who, like myself, like faith is an important thing, right? Then you want to find somebody who hopefully has the same faith as you. But Chisha, people can change. They can fall out of belief. It's true. Does that excuse that you can start off at the best possible foot? Listen, this isn't a guaranteed safe proof approach for marriage. No. You can go through all this. You can have all the right elements that you think are correct, and then boom. Welcome to the modern day. It may not work out. It happens. It happens. But commitment, shared values, and of course, love in there are all very important. Let's keep listening.
I think it's too, I think it can feel like the 12 million's off in this corner and we're never going to participate in it. But I think it comes into it's mine if something happens. But up until that point, it's ours. Like we're sharing assets.
That's a good point. That is a very good point.
Like we are living our lives together as one.
Right.
But for some reason, if something ever happened in a divorce, this part still goes back to me.
I like that.
Does that make sense? I wonder if framing it.
That's a good way to frame it because that actually,
with her because it can be hers, right? Like you guys can share in this. It's the only time it's not hers is if you guys legally go through a divorce.
Exactly.
Does that make sense?
Exactly.
Yeah, it totally makes sense. And that is how we want to live going into the marriage.
Yeah, and it sounds like that's and that sounds like your attitude because you're going to take some of our money and we're going to buy a house together with this money and use this money for our family. So I think it's such a fine line, Derek. I mean, it's so hard, but I think I would keep and bring in a third party if there's a great marriage counselor or therapist. Honestly, it's something to think through and even get other opinions because you want to be on the same page with.
She said, "Hey, this only isn't yours if things don't work out." And I was going to stress that. Until then, she's got access to that $12 million. You should love the person you're with enough that if they've shown commitment and the two of you are growing, if something happened to her, God forbid her health or something like that, he'll probably deplete that money to help save her life. I think a lot of people forget that, hey, this is yours in the case that we commit to our vows. Before we check out some of these comments, there's something I did disagree with here, and I just have to say it. That one of the hosts there said that it's pretty typical for a lot of chicks to say that women think therapists can like solve world hunger. It's your responsibility to have difficult conversations. You can't offload difficult conversations to a therapist. You don't start off in that habit. And a prenuptial agreement, if that's the most difficult conversation you've ever had, is a good place to start learning how to have difficult conversations, because chances are that will be the least contentious and difficult conversation you will have in your marriage. Let's check out a few comments here. This person here says, so let me get this straight. This man is willing to marry a single mother of 3 in her 30s with debt in her name, move them into his house and pay to make sure her children are taken care of, but somehow she's trying to guilt trip him into avoiding signing a prenup and making him the bad guy. Run, my man. Run. She basically won the lottery, and instead of being thankful, is just trying to squeeze him as much as she can. I don't think he's going to fall for it. I don't think he's going to fall for it. What do you guys think? What did you guys get by the end of that? Did you guys get like you just think he's going to fall for that? I didn't get that. Another comment here says, get the prenup, bro. No brainer. You have kids already and have more money than most people will ever see in their lifetime. Another person who says, this guy is a loose cannon. He is 12 mil and he's insane enough to get married to a single mom of 3, raise another man's kids, pay all their bills, and let her get half of your stuff if she decides she doesn't want it anymore. Get therapy or something, bro. You're unhinged right now. All right, so I get where this guy's coming from. I get it. The thing I never do is I never say that men don't marry single mothers, right? Because this is the coffee pot at the end of the day. I can't deny what I see. It happens, right? I'm talking about the small percentage of single mothers who do get married, are in relationships, and they're not saying, I'm a package deal and you should be privileged. You should feel honored that you're taking care of another man's kids, right? That's a small percentage. They are a small percentage that understand that that just sounds crazy. The larger percentage, though, they are stuck in delusion. You know, they're the ones on dating apps with the, I'm a package deal. If you can't love my kids the way I love them, then it's over, right? They don't understand. They're out of touch. They're out of touch. So far, based on what I know here, it could be one of two things. The first is most women, when you bring up a prenuptial agreement, are going to push back, especially the older that they are. They're not ready to accept that. That's why Gen Z and also millennials are getting more prenups. And so this could be just a natural like pushback that you're going to get in the majority of the cases. And of course, when the woman's the breadwinner and she has all the money, the prenup makes all the sense in the world. Second is she doesn't realize how good she actually has it, right? She doesn't realize that she's hit an unbelievable opportunity here. And if she just stays in that marriage and stays consistent and doesn't initiate divorce like most women do, then she'll be okay. And I'll leave you guys in the comment section to decide which one of those two things this is. Okay, we've got a chick here who says, as a woman, get a prenup. You're not even married yet, and she's already calling dibs on your money and guilt tripping you. So many red flags. If you do marry her and it doesn't work out, you're not responsible to provide for her kids. Mm-hmm. Somebody else who says, don't drop your guard, brother. If the situation was the opposite, she would not be with you 100%. Somebody else who says, this is ridiculous. 100% get a prenup. You have already both been divorced. Statistically, it's likely this will end in divorce. That is a true point that I'm surprised I didn't mention. It goes on to say she will already be walking away way better off than she came. Do not give her any more incentive to call it quits. No prenup would be beyond stupid. I agree. What do you guys think? Hey guys, as always, I appreciate you for checking out yet another episode of The Coffee Pod. To my currently engaged or soon to be married men, if you need a prenup and would like a guide that shows you how to get a solid and legally binding prenuptial agreement, hit the link pinned to the top of the comment section and access your guide at fathershaverights.com today.